Well, the House has passed a bill reauthorizing the Export-Import Bank for another 10 years, potentially lining the pockets of China-backed companies. The 85-year-old law is paid for by taxpayers, which subsidize foreign buyers of U.S. goods. Critics say it strips away government accountability, also peddles corporate welfare. I want to bring in Heritage Foundation Senior Advisor Genevieve Wood. Genevieve, thanks for joining me.
Good to be here.
You know, this topic used to get people so fired up, and I think I think all the other shenanigans going on in D.C. provided cover for this. But I could not believe that Maxine Waters was able to rope in a whole bunch of Republicans and get this through just this week.
Yeah, you know, Charles, when we say capitalism gets a bad name, it's things like this that make that the case. Corporate welfare, where big business and big government come together, which is exactly what the Ex-Im Bank is today. This is why people look at it and they go, this is, just handouts for wealthy businesses. And the fact is, that is exactly what Ex-Im is. As you well know, the biggest beneficiaries of these handouts are companies like Caterpillar and John Deere and Boeing, not small mom and pop shops on Main Street America, even though that's who they usually get to come and lobby on behalf of this issue. The reality is it's big businesses, and they're not businesses that need the money.
And then it's also, in recent years, they've helped rivals to American companies. Apparently, countries like China, Mexico, Turkey, all have benefited. I remember in India, the Indian Airlines getting backing to buy Boeing planes to go against Delta. And a report, I think, by Heritage says that 7,500 domestic airline jobs may have been lost because of the Ex-Im Bank.
Yeah, because you had these foreign companies in India, for example, making a deal saying, look, we don't have enough money to buy planes for Boeing. So the United States, via the taxpayers, gives a loan to that Indian company, who then it's a subsidized loan. They can then buy planes from Boeing at a cheaper rate than many American airlines, such as Delta, can buy from Boeing. And then guess what? They can make their rates cheaper. They can increase their number of flights. That's not fair competition. Yeah. And the fact is, we shouldn't be in that kind of business. But, I think you make a good point. Both sides of the aisle have been very guilty here. I think it may be dead on arrival in the Senate, but we got to look out for it.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're doing this segment. I also want to ask you, because it's intriguing that this will go through predominantly by Democrats when they're talking about the wealth in such a nasty way during this presidential election. There's a new study of people. It was annual households of at least $240,000. And get this, Genevieve, they're finding that they're making bigger donations to charities, and it's because of politics. So the question is, are they seeing the light, or are they just being preemptive like the Ray Dalios of the world, saying, yeah, you're right, we need to do something, because they're so afraid that if they just simply sit there, the far left will completely take over and change their lives?
Yeah, well, maybe that's the case. Maybe people are worried that they're going to be outed, that they haven't been giving enough. Social media has been very great at that. It's showing who's giving and who doesn't. I'm glad to hear that people with more are giving back more. I would like their motives to be pure and good, but the money still works.
It does. On the cover of this week's Time magazine, it's about the elites falling apart, and they're saying this Overton window, has shifted. That no matter what, there has been a major shift. And a lot of very wealthy folks are now starting to either call it guilt, call it whatever, are starting to sort of sympathize with the notion that their success has come because we have paved roads, and they should be giving back more. Are you okay with us going down this path?
Okay with the fact that the people are feeling that they should give back to their communities? Well, I'm okay with that.
Not give back to the communities, but okay with much higher tax rates, okay with confiscatory tax policies, those kind of things.
Because Charles, at the end of the day, what those things end up hurting aren't the rich folks. The rich folks find their ways out of them. Who that ends up hurting are people who are trying to make it up the economic ladder. It doesn't do anything to create jobs. It hurts those who actually create jobs and those wanting to get those new jobs and those new opportunities. So no, in the long run, that's not the way we should be going.
It's always great seeing you, Genevieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.